I just wanted to mention tonight something a little bit that I've been thinking about, which is perspective. And it's very thought provoking for me. The Buddha was about integration and wholeness. And oftentimes we are fragmented. We are fragmented because of beliefs that pull us this way or that way. We are fragmented because we oftentimes don't have the whole picture of something. And that could create a misperception. And these misperceptions and these fragments create chaos. And I'm really thinking strongly about this because one of the most important things that I think that I need to do is to know what my motivation or my intention is before I take an action or before I say something to someone. And of course, even under best intentions, sometimes things don't always, are not always received in the best way. But that's what communication is about. And so we have to become better communicators, right? We have to be able to stay in the game if something is not the way that we thought it was supposed to be, or if the other person or a situation didn't work out the way they thought it was supposed to be or that they wanted it to be, then we have to be able to stay in the game long enough and stay in the communication long enough to be able to get to even ground, to have a resolution. So I'm going to give you an example about that. So I can recall several instances of this when a party is very angry about a situation. But the situation may require one to go in and resolve it peacefully. But what's really happening is this person has a tremendous amount of rage, a tremendous amount, or I would say also a tremendous amount of vengefulness, possibly. In the very least, they're not really looking for a sense of peace. They're looking for a way to unload their anger, to possibly be accusatory, to be belligerent. So what do you think happens when they say that they're going to go to this person because they want to have a peaceful resolution? Well, if the intention is not about a peaceful resolution, you can bet that what's going to happen is all of that rage or anger or discontent, which is very sharp, is going to be presented as opposed to a peaceful resolution, meaning, in other words, having a conversation that can help someone to understand possibly a little bit more about what you really wanted to have happen, but what didn't occur, or for you to be able to hear what this person has to say. Because if you really want to know what someone's going to respond to you like, you really have to give them the opening and the opportunity to do that. And you can't do that if you're just going to berate them or belittle them or shame them or whatever word you want to use that conveys this feeling of blame and you're wrong and why did you do that and blah, 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 goes on and on and on. And it doesn't mean that your anger isn't justified, because if you have felt that you've been wronged, you can stay with that thought. But the way that you want to go about having that conversation, first of all, is to know that your intention is to really not really have a dialogue of reciprocity, but it's about getting your point across only, and it might not be in the best way. So what I always suggest to people is when you're having this, you know, direct conflict and the ideas are conflicting about what it is that you want to achieve and what you say you want to achieve, then you really need to go back and you need to really work that out a little bit more before you have that dialogue or before you attempt that communication. So a shift in clarity can really change your perception, because if you have clarity about the situation, about the disruption that you're feeling or the unsettledness or the anger, if you know why you're feeling the way you're feeling and what's going on, you can make a different choice. So that's the whole idea behind being aware of what you're feeling, or being aware of what your motivation and what your intention is. So you have to be really clear on that, really, really clear. And I've seen situations where people have gone back and they've done just the opposite, and it's never really a dialogue that achieves much. It just continues to create some sort of bitterness or shame. Maybe you successfully shamed someone, but I don't know if that's what we really want to achieve. Even if it's somebody that we disagree with so much and that we think that what they did was so wrongful, but we still have to get to that point of understanding, because sometimes the perception that we had was not exactly the perception that was intended. And so, that has to be ironed out and worked out. And I like the idea of thinking about the Buddha, because again, the Buddha was about wholeness and not being fragmented. And perceptions open the heart. You might say that that's really fine and dandy, but you don't know this person and you don't know what they did to me, and you don't. And I understand that. I know. I've been there. But I also know better than anybody that if I want someone to hear me, that I have to be clear. And if I really want to make a point where somebody's going to take it in, then I really have to be clear, and I really have to choose my words in such a way that their ears will remain open to hear me. It's hard to do that when you're feeling a lot of feelings, when you're feeling angry. And sometimes distance and just removing yourself for a little while can be the answer for you to get some clarity. But just know that perspective, it changes. Your perspective changes, but you have to be the one to work on the issue of clarity, and you have to be the one to know what your intentions are, because that's what's going to give you a better chance of success when you finally have that communication or you finally take that action. And I think that's what you want anyway, right?